What's going on, guys? It's Brian,
And it's Jennifer.
and we're on day whatever we are on 25 Days of Disney, and we're going to talk about something really fun from my childhood and Jennifer's, and it is George of the Jungle.
Yes, and not that I forgot this existed, but I had seen the commercial for this so many times on VHS tapes that when you brought this up, I forget what video we were doing, I'm like, wait a second, let's do this video. And we got all excited, and I'm so happy because I enjoyed this experience so much watching this the other night.
Oh yeah, it's a great movie. So just to give a little bit of history, the original George of the Jungle was from 1967 as part of the Rocky and Bullwinkle show, and it basically went on to do its own thing as well. I think it was like 17 episodes that it came out with, and it was aired on ABC when they were doing Saturday morning cartoons. Now all cartoons have their own channel.
Yeah.
This movie and George of the Jungle is basically based on a parody of Tarzan.
Oh, definitely.
I would watch the old George of the Jungle cartoons because I had a VHS tape of them, and I would watch them on repeat because I just liked them so much.
Mm-hmm.
To the point of I would actually run into walls pretending to be George of the Jungle.
No.
Oh yeah. My parents hated George of the Jungle because I would do that.
Did you ever smash any drywall in the process?
No, because we have a divider in our house that is brick, so I would just run into the brick.
No way. Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
Wait, do you think this might be the origin of you doing brake check to me in high school?
Maybe. I was your brick wall.
Tell them what you did to me in high school.
So we would be walking to class because me and Jennifer had lunch together, and we'd be walking to class, and I would step in front of her and one of our other friends, Amanda, and I would really quickly stop so they'd run into my back, and I'd yell brake check when they did it. And I mean, I don't think you guys ever got actually hurt by doing it. I think
but there was some we flew back a couple times, and it reminds me of the rubber tree that George bounced off of the one scene in the movie.
Yes, yeah. But this movie, so getting back to the movie, we'll have a whole story of what I used to do, Jennifer, in high school. The story goes basically Brendan Fraser, who plays George of the Jungle, and Leslie Mann.
Okay. See, I was going to say Leslie Kelly
Mann played Ursula. Ursula's going through the woods or going through the jungle of I don't even think they gave an actual country, did they? I think they just
said in Africa.
Yeah, okay, so it's Africa. Yeah, she gets knocked out and gets picked up by George of the Jungle because they're getting attacked by a lion, and this is the first time you see Brendan Fraser. I can't tell you how much I miss Brendan Fraser and seeing him when he's acting.
Is he the guy from The Mummy?
Yes, he was in The Mummy. Looney Tunes Back in Action.
Oh, okay.
He's actually one of my favorite movies of all time, and everybody hates this movie. I think it's called either Bedeviled or Bedazzled. I'm not gay, but he is a good-looking man. He really is. He is a good-looking man. I forgot. My God. My mom used to say, "Oh my God, he is hot," and I'm like, "Why? He's not that." I'm like, "He's a good-looking man."
He did some tanning, or they put some oil on him in some of these scenes. I swear.
Oh, yeah. they made him, for a kids movie, they made him very sexual. It was very funny, even though he's an idiot in this movie.
What do they call it? A butt flap?
Yes, a butt flap.
Butt flap.
his loincloth. They do all the characteristics. His ape friend Ape, who's almost a genius.
I love that character. And
he's so funny.
So much is it's not CGI.
No, it's a guy in an ape costume.
Yeah, and there has to be something else that they do a little bit with his lips, or maybe it's part of almost animatronic with the lips. It was it was just so good, and it was so believable, and it was awesome.
You know what's crazy about this movie is that they do have a lot of live action, but they also have a good amount of CGI. But the CGI in this movie is actually really good, surprisingly.
Yeah,
Like,
the elephant when he was acting like the
Shep.
puppy running back and forth. You can tell when he's acting certain ways it's like computerized, but it doesn't look horrible. And for this being 1997, which it was probably like 1996 technology, that's pretty good.
Yeah, and Tuki Tuki,
Yes.
there's so much crazy CGI in this movie where he's swinging from. He ends up going to America because he gets shot by Lyle, who is played by. Hold on.
That guy, oh my god.
Honestly, he's really one of my favorite actors. He's in everything that I've ever watched. Thomas Hayden Church. What else has he been in? Cause he was a Sandman in Spider-Man 3. I mean, that's where I remember him from. He's been in a lot of stuff. Tombstone.
He was such an arrogant. Oh my god.
He was a butthole in this movie. He was talking because they're going through the jungle too to find Ursula now, and he's talking to the people who are helping him, and they're all African. He doesn't think they're smart enough to know what a watch is and what meat is or whatever, and they're just like, your camera lens is dirty. After telling him and all this stuff.
They turn and they actually talk to like you, the audience, several times.
Now comes the part where we throw our heads back and laugh. Ready?
Ready!
And those guys are hilarious.
Richard Roundtree was the leader of them. Kwame. He was the guy with the beard and he was the old man, I believe. Okay. I'm pretty sure. Yes, he was the old man who was telling them like they don't really understand English that well. And then Lyle says, "I'll give you whatever money I can to help me find Ursula." And they all start speaking English really, really well. But George gets shot after they find Ursula because they think George is dangerous, even though the way that they have him tell, he's like, "Me, I'm George of the Jungle," and he talks like a buffoon, but you can understand what he's saying because they don't make it that stupid. And he goes to America, and Ursula's mom doesn't want him marrying or falling in love with Ursula.
The mother.
Oh, she was terrible too. She's a great actress too. She was mad because Ursula was falling for George, and they found out that these two poachers who were with Lyle and Ursula when they were going through the jungle were going to go after Ivory, but then they saw that Ape talked.
The one who's playing chess.
Yes.
Checkmate. The one who's playing chess. Ow.
That's the one line I always remembered on the VHS commercial. And I feel like there was stuff in the commercial that's not in the movie. Like there's a scene with Tuki Tuki on an airplane, and like a stewardess wants to give that. Like there's stuff from that commercial. Like, where is this stuff?
You know what's funny? I think that they actually put that in George of the Jungle 2, the direct-to-DVD second one, without Brendan Fraser.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to talk about George of the Jungle 2 because that was just... You know what's funny? I actually do like that movie, but it's a bad movie. Like, it's not good. It has the kid from 2.5 Men in it.
Oh, yeah. I saw the cover of it when I was finished watching the first one, and it showed up on Disney+.
And what was the other one? They even referenced that Brendan Fraser just didn't want to do the movie. In the movie, I'm like, well, why would you reference that? Because they break the fourth wall a lot. Like, George returns to the jungle after he's done in America, and he has Nike Air to run through the jungle. To run to where he's going. The poachers catch Ape, and it's a whole slapstick fight where there's monkeys coming in and throwing coconuts and stuff like that. The big poacher, the big guy, looks like me. Legitimately, he looks like me, and I'm like, that could be my dad.
That's funny.
This movie, I used to watch this movie all the time too. This is another reason why I would run into walls when I was a kid to be George of the Jungle. I didn't want to be Tarzan. I wanted to be George of the Jungle because I thought he was nicer than Tarzan.
And what's very funny about this is this came out in 1997, and it's a spoof of Tarzan.
Mm-hmm.
And then Disney put out Tarzan in 1999, a couple years later.
Oh, yeah.
Because I looked up the dates. I'm like, wait a second. I'm like, this is like, it's just such a familiar like storyline, and it's both by Disney. I'm like, these had to been so close together in year. That was so weird.
Oh yeah, because you know what I think they did, and like I wouldn't be surprised if they did this. Like, let's see what George of the Jungle does, and then if people like this movie, we'll do an actual movie from what this is based on.
Oh, okay. How
and if
well
I'm being,
did this do?
I think it did pretty well. I mean, it's a kids movie, so no matter what, kids are going to go see it and drag their parents to go see it. I think it did pretty well. I could be wrong. Oh yeah, it did much better than it should have had a sequel way before, because they had a budget of $55 million and they made $174.4 million. So they more than
back in '97. So
yeah, so they more than tripled they more than doubled their budget for it. So they made a lot of money on this, and then George of the Jungle 2 was not good.
That was 2003. I saw it.
Yeah, and it had who played George in this one?
I don't know.
Because I don't even think they didn't even get the girl that played Ursula back.
So this is my question when you're looking that up. Today, are those actors like embarrassed that they did this?
Honestly, I think if you asked Brendan Fraser what he thought about it, he'd probably say it's one of his favorite to do, honestly, because he hasn't been like, this is why I miss Brendan Fraser so much, is because in everything that he was in, he was really just playing himself. But he hasn't gotten a role lately like how kind of like the Robert Downey Jr. effect, where he had trouble. I think he broke his back doing a movie or something like that. And he's been going through stuff, and I think there was a divorce or something like that he went through as well. And he never really got back to doing what he could be doing. But I mean, the Mummy movies made a lot of money. This made a lot of money. He's been in a few stinkers, so that's probably another reason why.
The reason why I brought that up was because I loved watching this. It was hilarious, but at the same time, it was, some parts were just so stupid cringy. I was like, what? Or the way how he would act on the screen. I'm like, I wonder if they watch this back and be like, oh my God, I made this.
You know what's funny though is that like there's movies that are way worse than this that people love. Like look at a good example is Rocky Horror Picture Show. That is cringe to the max.
I've never watched the actual one, so
it's so I love the movie personally. It's a funny comedy musical.
I've only seen when Glee did it.
Yeah. Tim Curry's amazing in that movie, and you would think that like, oh my God, why are they doing this? Because literally it's about a gay Frankenstein doctor sort of thing, where he wants to make himself a mate.
So that's even cringier than some parts in George of the Jungle.
Yes. Oh my God, it's so much more cringier.
But yeah, this movie, I enjoyed watching it so much. So I'm like, I feel like they don't make movies like this anymore.
They really don't, because it's more along the lines of what you used to see with like Spaceballs, where this is a legitimate parody movie, because it's a parody of Tarzan. Tarzan is supposed to be the big time jungle man, where he's handsome and he's ripped to shreds and he cares for the animals, but he also figures out who these people are. George is all this, but he's an idiot. he's literally an idiot. But he's just such a nice guy, and he's such a sweet person, where you just can't help but like him. And he was played awesomely by Brendan Fraser.
It was good. The narrator. I loved the narrator.
Oh yeah, the narrator. Who was that? Because he's done a lot of stuff too.
It was just the best, and it wasn't like this thing at the beginning. It was this whole thing throughout, and I love when the poacher guys are yelling at the narrator.
Yeah, they get mad at it. He goes, "Did you just yell at the narrator?"
Well, I tried, but you fellas are just too smart for me.
Oh, no.
Oh, no was right for the exhausted
Hey,
ape nappers.
why don't you say something constructive for a change? Like what we should do now?
Because I don't like you.
Oh, I hate you, you snotty son
I'll
of a...
pretend I didn't hear that. Having some fun now.
Thor, were you fighting with the narrator? Well, he started
Did
it.
not.
You did too.
Did not.
You did too.
Did not.
You did too. Stop it.
And he goes, "Yeah," and they have a whole argument. This guy's done because he's narrated a lot of things. He's done a lot of stuff. Alice in Wonderland, George of the Jungle, Pause, the Adventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle, because that's where they got it from. Because Rocky and Bullwinkle used to have narrators as well. He even did George of the Jungle too, unfortunately. You know what else is awesome in this movie, and nobody ever talks about this movie, and it's one of the best from Disney.
What
is the soundtrack? The soundtrack of this movie is awesome.
I love that song.
George of the Jungle. What's funny is that the band that made that song is Presidents of the United States, who also did Cleveland Rocks.
No, those are the same people?
Mm-hmm.
No way.
They did that song, and then there's Della, who I don't know who it's by. I gotta.
That's where he gets her dancing.
Yeah. I think that's my favorite part, where he's gonna show how much how his affection for her, and he starts blowing out his cheeks and,
like,
throwing up the leaves and stuff like that.
I'm gonna go take a breather out there.
Yeah.
That was so funny.
It's an awesome movie, and I don't get why people don't give it more praise than they should. More praise than it definitely should, because I'd say it's probably one of my favorite movies. After watching it again, I'd probably say it's one of my top 5 movies.
Oh wow!
It's not a great movie. It's really not, like, compared to like Avengers or The Godfather and stuff like that. It's a terrible movie.
I think it's the whole overall experience, and just watching it and being like, oh my god, what are they doing? Just the way how, like you said, like slapstick, and then they try to turn cartoon into live action by him like spinning the lion around. And
I felt bad for that lion for a little bit there, and then you find out later that they're actually friends now. I felt like a kid watching this movie again.
Yeah, it was fun.
Like, I felt like I was 6 years old watching this movie. So definitely check it out. I give it a perfect 10, but it's obviously not a perfect 10, but I give it a perfect 10.
If you have Disney Plus, go watch it.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I'm so happy we thought of this, Brian, because I wouldn't have watched it without you bringing it up. So I'm glad I got to watch it again.
Oh, yeah. I honestly, I forgot that it was on Disney Plus, and then I'm like, wait, George of the Jungle on Disney Plus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I wish they put Rocky and Bullwinkle on Disney Plus, too. I love that show, too. But we will see you next time. Stay tuned for more 25 Days of Disney.
See you guys. Bye.